Alien Waitress faints. You can do it again. Already Captain Aaron Hale stepped off the shuttle and onto the crowded platform of Nebula Station, his boots clanging against the metal floor. The spaceport was alive with movement, a blend of alien languages, mechanical whirring, and the low hum of engines docking and departing. He had been traveling alone for weeks, charting unclaimed sectors near the edge of known space. His body ached, and his mind was clouded from long hours in the cockpit, yet there was something about this station that drew him in. The station was a nexus, a place where beings from dozens of worlds met. Tall, spindly creatures with shimmering scales slithered past short, rotund beings with multiple arms. Ships of every shape and color docked at the port, some sleek and glinting, others rough and patched with spare parts. For a moment, Aaron allowed himself to relax. This was a place where nothing followed Earth's rules, and yet somehow everything worked. Aaron's stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since leaving the shuttle, and the smell of food from the nearby cafe caught his attention. The stellar spoon was packed, every table occupied with creatures Aaron could not even begin to identify. The cafe's staff moved quickly, dodging between tables and trays, their alien forms flowing with efficiency. One waitress in particular caught his eye. She was humanoid but with a faint blue tint to her skin and eyes that glimmered like liquid silver. She balanced trays with a grace that seemed almost impossible, weaving through the crowd with a constant smile, even as she kept bumping into impatient patrons. As Aaron approached the counter, he noticed that her movements suddenly faltered. Her tray wobbled, then tipped slightly, spilling a cup of steaming liquid onto the floor. The sound drew the attention of nearby diners, and a collective gasp rose through the cafe. Before anyone could react further, the waitress's knees buckled. Her arms flailed, and she fainted, collapsing gently onto the floor. Without thinking, Aaron lunged forward and caught her. His hands gripped her shoulders, steadying her before she hit the ground completely. Around them, aliens stared in shock. Some murmured to each other, unsure of what to do, while others simply froze. Aaron set her down carefully on a vacant bench. Her breathing was shallow but steady. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice firm yet calm. The waitress stirred slightly, her silver eyes fluttering open. She looked around, confused, and a faint blush tinted her blue cheeks. I'm fine," she whispered, her voice weak. Sometimes this happens." Aaron studied her for a moment. She was small, almost delicate, and yet there was something resilient about her. "You just fainted in the middle of a crowded cafe," he said. "That's not exactly fine." She shook her head, trying to smile. "It's normal for my species, the gravity here, it sometimes overwhelms us." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "So fainting is normal?" The waitress laughed softly, a sound that seemed to brighten the crowded room despite her own weakness. "Not really normal, just expected." Aaron frowned, a mix of concern and curiosity settling over him. He could not ignore the instinct that told him she was in danger. "I can help," he said simply. Her silver eyes widened slightly. You can." "Maybe," Aaron replied, offering a hand to help her up. She took it cautiously, and with a little effort she was back on her feet. She swayed slightly, and Aaron held her steady. Around them, a few of the cafe staff murmured among themselves, clearly impressed by how quickly the human had reacted. "What's your name?" Aaron asked. "I'm Lyra," she said, finally standing upright on her own. "Lyra T-Ven, and you are?" "Aaron Hale, just a pilot passing through," he said with a small smile. "Nice to meet you, though under unusual circumstances." Lyra blinked at him. "Unusual is one word for it." She hesitated, then laughed softly again. "You saved me from falling. Most of the others would have just watched." Aaron shrugged. "Humans have a habit of acting when action is needed. We don't always wait for permission." Her silver eyes gleamed with something like admiration. "I've never seen a human in person before," she admitted. "You are different from what I imagined." Aaron chuckled. "That's probably for the best." He glanced around the cafe. "Do you get faint often, or was this a special performance?" Lyra's laugh was quieter this time, a little embarrassed. "Not often, but the station's gravity is tricky. Many of us struggle here. I just try not to let it show." Aaron frowned thoughtfully. "I might be able to help with that. You don't have to faint every time." Her gaze softened, a mix of curiosity and hope. "How would you help?" "I'm not sure yet," Aaron admitted, "but I have a few ideas. Some human ingenuity might work." Lyra looked at him, intrigued but cautious. "Human ingenuity, that sounds promising," she said with a small smile. Aaron glanced around again. The cafe was slowly returning to its rhythm, other patrons resuming their conversations and meals, though a few still watched him and Lyra with interest. Something in him stirred, a feeling he hadn't felt in a long time, the pull of connection, the spark of teamwork. He had spent weeks alone, charting distant sectors, navigating through endless emptiness, and now, here in the chaos of the station, he felt useful. "Sit down for a moment," he suggested. "You need to recover before returning to work." Lyra hesitated, glancing at her uniform and the busy cafe behind her. "I can't just leave. The tables," Aaron shook his head firmly. "Right now, it's your health. Everything else can wait. If you collapse again, no one benefits." Reluctantly, she followed him to a quieter corner of the cafe. He guided her to a small booth near the window, away from the hustle of the crowd. Once she sat, he leaned forward. "Tell me exactly what happens when you faint. The symptoms, the triggers, everything." Lyra hesitated, then described how the artificial gravity interfered with her species' circulatory system, causing dizziness and fainting spells. Aaron listened intently, asking questions about timing, duration, and any warning signs. He scribbled notes on a small pad he carried, mentally mapping out a solution. "Gravity issues," he murmured. "I've seen humans get dizzy in high gravity too. Maybe a simple stabilizer, a device to support circulation." He trailed off, already calculating possibilities. Lyra watched him in silence, surprised by his focus and calm. There was a clarity to his thinking, a determination that was almost magnetic. She realized with some awe that humans were not just physically strong. They had a way of analyzing problems, improvising solutions, and acting decisively. "You really think you can help?" she asked, a faint hope in her voice. Aaron nodded. "I won't know until I try. But I like to fix problems. That's what humans do." For the first time since she had collapsed, Lyra smiled fully. "Then I will trust you, Aaron Hale." A human and an alien in a crowded station cafe, both surrounded by worlds so different from their own, shared a quiet understanding. It was the beginning of something unusual, a partnership built not on orders or authority, but on instinct, ingenuity, and trust. Outside the window, shuttles docked and departed, the station pulsing with life. Inside, Aaron and Lyra began plotting the small interventions that could prevent future collapses, their minds working together even as the cafe hummed with alien chatter. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but in that moment, humanity's ability to act, to adapt, and to care shone clearly. As the sun from a nearby star cast streaks of color across the station, Aaron realized that perhaps this stop was more than just a routine layover. Perhaps it was a chance to show what humans were capable of, not through weapons or force, but through resourcefulness, courage, and a willingness to step forward when others hesitated. Lyra, meanwhile, felt a strange sense of relief. For the first time in her service at the station, she realized she was not alone. Even in a world filled with countless alien species, a human had stepped up, not just to catch her, but to help her. She allowed herself a small laugh. "You really are different from what I expected," she said. Aaron smiled in return. "Good different, I hope?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, very good different." And as the cafe returned to its normal rhythm, the fainted alien waitress and the wandering human pilot began a story that neither of them could yet imagine. A story where human courage, empathy, and ingenuity would prove that even the smallest actions could leave a lasting mark. In a galaxy full of wonders, the next day the cafe was already bustling when Aaron returned. He had spent the night thinking about ways to help Lyra, scribbling ideas and schematics in his small notebook, trying to adapt human medical knowledge to her alien physiology. Nebula Station was alive with activity, and the hum of machinery and chatter of countless species filled every corner. Aaron felt energized. This was not just another stop in his routine travels. It was a problem to solve, and he liked solving problems. Lyra was already working when he entered. She moved quickly between tables, balancing trays and taking orders. Her silver eyes darted with precision, her blue-tinted skin glowing faintly under the cafe's artificial lights. At first, she did not notice him, focused entirely on her work. But when she caught his gaze, she gave a small, nervous wave. Aaron nodded and moved to the counter. "How are you feeling today?" he asked. Lyra hesitated, glancing at the busy tables around her. "Better," she said cautiously. "I think the rest last night helped, but the gravity is still difficult." Aaron smiled. "I brought something to help." He reached into his bag and pulled out a small, compact device he had been assembling in his quarters. It looked like a sleek bracelet, fitted with tiny sensors and fluid channels. "I call it a stabilizer," he said. "It's designed to monitor your circulation and balance. It should keep your body from fainting as easily." Lyra's eyes widened. "You built that?" "Yeah," Aaron said simply. "Humans like to tinker. Sometimes it works, sometimes it explodes. But this, I think it will work." She took the device with care, examining it. "It's small but intricate. How do I use it?" "Wear it around your wrist," he explained. "It will read your vital signs and adjust a small magnetic field to stabilize your blood flow. It's basically a human idea applied to your species." Lyra hesitated, then slid the bracelet over her wrist. She flexed her hand, testing the device. "It feels strange," she said softly, "but not uncomfortable." Aaron nodded. "You'll get used to it. If you feel dizzy, the device will compensate. You just need to focus on your work and let it do the rest." She looked at him, a mixture of hope and curiosity shining in her silver eyes. I trust you, Aaron Hale. If you think it will help, I will try it." Aaron smiled. "That's all I need. Let's see how it goes." The morning passed slowly but without incident. Lyra moved through the cafe with the stabilizer on, and she did not faint once. Aaron watched from a corner, occasionally taking notes and adjusting the device with a small screwdriver and some calibration tools. Patrons noticed, some whispering about the human who had invented a device to help an alien worker. There was curiosity, admiration, and even a little envy. Humans, it seemed, were remarkable. By midday, the cafe manager, a tall, four-armed alien named Raxil, approached. "I saw what you did yesterday," he said in his deep, resonant voice. "And this device, you think it will work all the time?" Aaron nodded. "It's not perfect yet, but it's a start. It will help her stay on her feet and avoid fainting." Raxil studied Lyra as she moved among the tables. "She has a condition that affects her species here. Normally, we would reduce her hours, give her more rest, but she insists on working. Your device, it may allow her to keep her dignity." Aaron shrugged. "I just want to help. If it works, she can keep working without fear of collapsing." Lyra, overhearing the conversation, felt a mix of gratitude and pride. For once, someone had not dismissed her condition as weakness. Instead, a human had acted quickly with care and ingenuity to solve the problem. She realized she had underestimated humans, not for their size or strength, but for their determination and creativity. The afternoon passed, and a new challenge arose. A group of alien merchants arrived at the cafe, their voices loud and demanding. They were not aggressive, but their presence caused Lyra's pulse to spike, triggering a faint sensation of dizziness. She felt a brief flutter in her vision, but the stabilizer adjusted instantly. The bracelet sensors read her vital signs, and a subtle magnetic pulse stabilized her circulation. Lyra blinked, amazed. It's working," she whispered to herself. "I feel steady." Aaron watched her closely. "See, nothing to worry about, just keep moving." The merchants left after a while, satisfied with their orders, and the cafe returned to normal. Lyra took a deep breath and glanced at Aaron. "I can't believe this," she said softly. "I've never felt this steady before." Aaron smiled. "Humans have a way of solving problems. We like to tinker and test ideas. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails spectacularly, but we don't give up." Lyra laughed softly. "I can see that, and I'm glad you didn't give up on me." As the day continued, Aaron realized that helping Lyra was more than just a technical challenge. It was a chance to understand a new species, to see how humans could interact with alien worlds and make a difference. Every feint avoided, every small improvement in the bracelet felt like a victory, not just for Lyra, but for humanity's ability to adapt and innovate. By evening, the cafe had quieted down. Most of the patrons had left, and the staff were tidying up. Lyra approached Aaron, her expression thoughtful. "I never thought a human could make such a difference," she said. "You didn't just catch me yesterday, you created something that changes how I live my work life. That is remarkable." Aaron shrugged. "It's what we do. We see a problem and try to fix it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we keep trying." Lyra smiled, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "You are extraordinary, Aaron Hale. I don't know any human personally, but now I see you have a quality that inspires trust." Aaron felt a warmth in his chest. He had spent so much of his life alone, moving from one mission to another, never staying in one place long enough to make a difference. Here on this crowded station, he realized he could be more than just a traveler. He could be a problem solver, a protector, a friend. And maybe that was the most human quality of all, the desire to help others, no matter the risks. As they walked toward the exit, Lyra paused. "You should rest, Aaron. You've been at this for hours." "I'll rest later," he replied. "Right now, I want to make sure this works perfectly. Tomorrow, we can test it again under busier conditions." Lyra nodded. "I will be ready, and thank you truly." Outside the cafe, the station stretched into the distance. Ships of every shape and size glided past docking bays, and aliens of countless species moved through corridors, unaware of the small human who was quietly making a difference. Aaron looked at the bustling hub and felt a sense of pride. He was just one person, but even one human could change the course of events, could prevent harm, could inspire trust. As night fell over Nebula Station, Aaron and Lyra returned to the cafe for a final check. The stabilizer worked flawlessly, and Lyra moved with confidence and ease. Other staff noticed, their curiosity turning into admiration. Humans were resilient, inventive, and brave, and here in this little corner of the galaxy, that fact was undeniable. Lyra paused in the quiet cafe, looking at Aaron. "You know," she said softly, "I think humans have something special. You don't just act, you think, you plan, you care. That is unusual in a good way." Aaron smiled, feeling the weight of his long journeys lift slightly. "That's humanity. We like to step in when others hesitate. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we always try." Lyra laughed softly, a sound that echoed through the empty cafe. "I think I will like working with you, Aaron Hale." Aaron nodded, watching her return to her duties with renewed confidence. He realized that this partnership, human ingenuity and alien resilience, could achieve things neither could alone. And for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of purpose beyond his solo missions. The night deepened, and the station lights shimmered across the metal floors. In a small cafe filled with aliens from countless worlds, a human and an alien had found trust and understanding. It was a quiet victory, but one that mattered. Humanity had shown its strength, not through weapons or force, but through care, ingenuity, and the courage to step forward when needed. And for Lyra, it was the beginning of a new chapter. She moved with confidence, her fainting spells no longer a shadow over her work. She had discovered a human's unique qualities firsthand: quick thinking, adaptability, and the quiet courage to act. She knew without a doubt that this was just the start of something extraordinary. Aaron watched her, a faint smile on his face. He had come to the station seeking rest, but he had found purpose. He had come alone, but he was no longer solitary. And he knew that together, humans and aliens could face challenges greater than any one species could handle alone. Tomorrow, the station would be busy again. Orders would be spilled, trays would wobble, and chaos would return. But Aaron was ready, and Lyra was ready. Together, they would face it, and perhaps change the station for the better, one small action at a time. The morning on Nebula Station began with the usual hum of activity, but there was a tension in the air that even the bustling cafe could not mask. Captain Aaron Hale had arrived early, eager to test the stabilizer under more challenging conditions. He watched as Lyra prepared for the morning rush, her movements precise and confident, a far cry from the weak, fainting figure he had met 2 days ago. The cafe doors opened, and a flood of patrons entered, a mix of travelers, merchants, and locals. The usual chatter of alien voices filled the room, overlapping in a cacophony of languages. Lyra took a deep breath and moved through the tables with her tray, the stabilizer humming faintly on her wrist. Aaron followed quietly, observing her reactions, ready to assist if needed. At first, everything went smoothly. The bracelet monitored her vital signs, adjusting circulation and balance as necessary. Lyra moved gracefully, serving drinks and taking orders, occasionally glancing at Aaron with a smile that said, "It works." The human's device was more than a tool. It was proof that humans could adapt, solve problems, and care for others in ways that impressed even the most skeptical aliens. But by mid-morning, trouble arrived. A group of rough-looking alien merchants entered, their voices loud and demanding. They were a diverse species, with sharp teeth and long, jointed limbs, clearly accustomed to asserting dominance in crowded spaces. Their presence caused a stir among the cafe staff, and Lyra felt the familiar flutter of dizziness in her chest. Aaron noticed immediately. He moved to her side, hand hovering near her shoulder. "Just breathe," he said quietly. "The device will help." Lyra nodded, taking deep, measured breaths. The stabilizer reacted instantly, sensing the spike in her heart rate and adjusting her circulation. The flutter in her vision faded and she straightened, continuing to serve the demanding customers without incident. Erin watched, impressed by both her resilience and the human ingenuity that allowed her to maintain control. But the real danger came in the form of movement outside the cafe. Through the large window, Erin noticed a group of shady figures slipping through the station corridors, their posture low and deliberate. He had learned to trust his instincts during long solo missions, and something about these individuals set off alarm bells. They were not casual travelers, they were trouble. Before he could react, one of the figures threw a small device through the cafe door. It exploded in a shower of sparks and smoke, sending tables clattering and patrons screaming. Lyra froze for a brief moment, caught in the chaos. The stabilizer on her wrist worked, but it was not designed for sudden trauma. It helped her stay upright, but her body trembled with adrenaline. Erin's instincts took over. He grabbed a tray and used it as a shield, pushing Lyra behind the counter. "Stay down!" he shouted over the chaos. The cafe erupted into panic. Aliens scattered, knocking over chairs and spilling drinks. Erin's eyes scanned the room, calculating angles, exits, and the position of the attackers. Despite the noise and confusion, his mind worked with precision, another human trait that set him apart. The attackers moved through the cafe with alarming speed, but Erin anticipated their movements. He grabbed a stack of metal trays and slid them across the floor, creating obstacles that slowed the intruders. One of them tripped, giving him just enough time to grab Lyra's hand and pull her toward the storage area in the back. Inside the cramped storage room, Lyra pressed herself against the wall, her silver eyes wide with fear. What are we going to do?" she whispered. Erin knelt beside her, keeping his voice calm. "We're going to get through this. Stay quiet, stay calm, and follow my lead." He scanned the room. Boxes and crates were stacked haphazardly, but there was enough space to maneuver. He noticed a small maintenance hatch in the corner, a possible exit if needed. Lyra swallowed hard, trusting him. I'm ready," she said, gripping his arm. Erin nodded. "Good, first we need to make a plan." He took a deep breath and considered their options. The attackers were strong and fast, but they had underestimated the cafe's defenses and the unpredictability of humans. Erin's mind raced, recalling physics principles and tactical maneuvers he had used during previous missions. Simple tools could become weapons. The environment could become an advantage. Humans excelled at turning obstacles into opportunities. "Here, what we'll do," he said quietly. "We'll use the crates to block their path, then we'll create a diversion. You follow me exactly. Can you do that?" Lyra nodded, her fear tempered by determination. "I can do that." Erin carefully moved to the edge of the storage room and peeked through a gap. The intruders were searching for easy targets, unaware of the human and alien hiding nearby. Erin whispered instructions to Lyra, guiding her to move crates silently and position herself strategically. The stabilizer on her wrist helped her maintain balance, even as she crouched and shifted awkwardly in the confined space. At the right moment, Erin grabbed a small container of cleaning fluid and tossed it near the cafe entrance. The liquid spread across the floor, reflecting the lights in dazzling patterns. He then hit a switch on a nearby panel, causing the overhead lights to flicker and buzz. The combination of reflections and flashing lights created confusion among the attackers. Taking advantage of their disorientation, Erin bolted from the storage room with Lyra close behind. He led her through a series of narrow corridors, twisting and turning to avoid detection. Every movement was calculated, every step precise. Lyra, relying on both the stabilizer and Erin's guidance, matched his pace, her fear replaced by focus. They reached a maintenance hatch leading to the exterior service corridors of the station. Erin pried it open, and a rush of cold air greeted them. The attackers were still inside the cafe, delayed by the diversion. "Go!" he shouted. "We'll lose them in the corridors." Lyra followed without hesitation, her confidence growing with each step. They ran through the service corridors, weaving around pipes and machinery, until they reached a section where the station's outer viewports offered a glimpse of the stars. Erin paused, scanning for any pursuers. "They're not following directly," he said. "We've lost them, but we can't go back in yet. We need to regroup and find a safe path to security." Lyra leaned against the wall, catching her breath. I can't believe we escaped," she said, her voice shaking but exhilarated. I thought we were trapped. Aaron smiled. Humans find a way, that's what we do. We don't panic. We think, we act, and we protect those around us. You did well too, Lyra. You stayed calm and trusted me. That matters more than you realize. For the first time, Lyra saw humans in a new light. Not just strong or clever, but courageous, strategic, and capable of inspiring trust. The human beside her had faced danger without hesitation, using intellect and instinct in equal measure. As they moved further into the service corridors, they came across a small storage alcove. Aaron suggested hiding there until the station's security teams arrived. Lyra followed his instructions, and they crouched in the dimly lit space. Aaron checked the stabilizer on her wrist, ensuring it was functioning perfectly. "You handled the fear well," he said quietly. "The device helped, but so did your focus. Humans aren't the only ones who can adapt, but we have a knack for planning under pressure." "You learned quickly." Lyra smiled faintly, still catching her breath. "I never thought I could do this. I feel stronger knowing someone has my back." Aaron nodded. "That's what humans bring. We protect, we create, we think ahead. That's why we survive in situations others might not. And sometimes, we save lives along the way." Minutes passed in silence as they waited. The distant sounds of security teams moving through the station grew louder, confirming that the intruders were being apprehended. Aaron and Lyra emerged from their hiding spot cautiously, moving back toward the main corridors. The cafe had been shaken, but no serious injuries had occurred, thanks in part to Aaron's quick thinking and Lyra's steadiness. When they returned to the cafe, the staff and patrons looked at them with a mixture of awe and gratitude. Raxil, the manager, approached with a serious expression. "You both did well," he said. "Without your actions, the damage could have been far worse." Aaron shrugged modestly. "We just did what was needed." Lyra, still catching her breath, added, "He guided me. He kept me safe. Without him, She paused, unsure how to express the gratitude she felt. Her silver eyes shone with respect and admiration. "He is remarkable." Aaron smiled, brushing off the praise, but inside he felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans had a way of shining in unexpected situations, not through sheer power but through courage, intelligence, and empathy. Today he had proven it again. The cafe gradually returned to normal. Patrons resumed their meals, and the staff worked to clean the mess caused by the intruders. Lyra moved with confidence, her stabilizer functioning flawlessly. She was no longer the fainting waitress who needed saving. She was an active participant in handling the crisis, guided by human ingenuity. As night fell over Nebula Station, Aaron and Lyra sat quietly in a corner of the cafe. "You know," Lyra said softly, "I think humans are amazing, not just for what you can build or fight, but for how you think, how you act when it matters. You inspire trust." Aaron looked at her and nodded. "That's humanity. We step up when needed, and we don't give up on those who need help. Today we face danger together. Tomorrow we face something else. But that's what we do. We adapt, we act, and we survive." Lyra smiled faintly, a sense of pride and trust filling her. I'm glad you're here, Aaron Hale." Aaron returned the smile. "And I'm glad you trusted me. Together we can handle anything this station, or this galaxy, throws at us." Outside, the station lights flickered against the darkness of space. Inside, humans and aliens alike witnessed the quiet demonstration of courage, intelligence, and cooperation. Humanity had once again shown its unique strength, not through domination, but through ingenuity, empathy, and the courage to act. Lyra, now confident in herself and in the human beside her, knew that this was only the beginning. With Aaron's guidance, she could face challenges she had once feared. And Aaron, in turn, realized that even in a galaxy full of strange species and unexpected dangers, humans had something extraordinary to offer. They sat together quietly, the hum of the station around them, knowing that whatever came next, they would face it as a team. And that was the true power of humans, the ability to inspire, protect, and adapt, even in the most unpredictable situations. The next morning, Nebula Station was alive with movement, more than usual. The events of the previous day had left a quiet tension among the station's inhabitants. Rumors of the attempted attack on the cafe had spread quickly, and security teams moved through the corridors with more urgency. Aaron Hale had arrived early again, not because he was afraid, but because he wanted to ensure that Lyra would be safe during the busiest hours of her shift. Lyra arrived shortly after, looking more confident than ever. The stabilizer on her wrist hummed faintly, a constant reassurance. She greeted Aaron with a small smile, her silver eyes bright with determination. "I'm ready," she said simply. "No fainting today." Aaron nodded, checking the bracelet settings one last time. "Good. Today will be different, but we'll handle it. Just remember, stay calm, follow your instincts, and trust the device." The cafe filled quickly. Early morning travelers ordered steaming drinks and quick meals, while merchants and station personnel moved between tables. Lyra worked efficiently, taking orders and serving with precision. The stabilizer adjusted seamlessly, keeping her steady even as the crowd pressed closer. Aaron observed quietly, noting the improvements in her posture, her confidence, and her overall energy. The calm did not last. A group of rowdy aliens entered the cafe, their presence immediately causing tension. They were tall and heavily built, their movements deliberate and imposing. Unlike the previous intruders, these individuals were not disguised in casual clothing. They were clearly here to intimidate. Lyra felt the familiar flutter of dizziness, a warning from her body that she needed to be careful. The stabilizer responded instantly, keeping her balanced as she moved between tables. Aaron stayed close, ready to intervene if necessary. "Keep calm," he whispered. "You've done this before, you can do it again." Lyra nodded, focusing on her work. She moved with care, delivering drinks and food, while Aaron observed the newcomers. He noted their body language, the way they scanned the room, and the subtle signals they sent to each other. These were not just rowdy customers, they were a threat. The taller of the group slammed a hand on the counter, demanding attention. "We want our orders now," he bellowed, his voice echoing through the cafe. Lyra approached cautiously, her stabilizer keeping her steady. "I'll get your orders as quickly as I can," she said calmly, her voice steady despite the tension. Aaron stepped beside her. "You don't need to face them alone," he said softly. "We'll handle this together." The aliens sneered, clearly surprised that a human had moved beside the waitress. They were used to others cowering or obeying, but Aaron's presence changed the dynamics. He did not raise his voice or act aggressively, but his calm confidence radiated authority. "Orders will be served," Aaron said evenly, "but threatening staff is not acceptable." The group hesitated, unsure how to respond. Humans had a reputation in many parts of the galaxy, not always positive, but here, Aaron's presence and calm authority made them pause. Lyra took the opportunity to move quickly, serving the group's drinks and food. The stabilizer ensured that she remained steady, even as one of the aliens reached out to grab a tray. Aaron reacted instantly, intercepting the hand and gently but firmly guiding it away. The alien blinked, surprised by the human's speed and precision. "You're fast," the alien said, his tone a mixture of irritation and respect. Aaron shrugged. "Humans adapt. We survive. That's what we do." The group grumbled, but eventually accepted their orders. As they moved toward a table, Aaron remained vigilant. He had learned long ago that appearances could be deceiving and that threats often came in subtle ways. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. One of the cafe's doors had been forced open, and another group of intruders entered, clearly attempting to create chaos. Aaron's instincts kicked in immediately. He grabbed a tray and moved toward the newcomers, while signaling Lyra to stay behind the counter. "Follow my lead," he whispered. The intruders moved quickly, but Aaron was faster. Using the tray, he deflected a thrown object and guided the attackers toward a corner of the cafe. He used simple physics, momentum, leverage, balance, to create obstacles that slowed them down. Lyra watched in awe, realizing that human ingenuity was not just clever, it was practical, effective, and precise. "You can do it again already," she muttered under her breath, a small smile crossing her face despite the danger. Aaron glanced at her, a faint smile acknowledging her courage. "Stay focused," he said. "We're not done yet." The attackers struggled against Aaron's quick thinking, and the other patrons had moved to safety. The situation was tense, but human adaptability shone through. Aaron guided Lyra behind a stack of crates, using them as cover while continuing to control the attackers' movements. Minutes felt like hours. Every step, every decision mattered. Aaron used his knowledge of the cafe's layout, combined with his ability to anticipate movements, to protect both Lyra and the patrons. The intruders, frustrated by the human's unexpected skill, began to retreat. "Now," Aaron whispered, "move with me." Together, he and Lyra advanced, carefully guiding the attackers toward the exit. The stabilizer kept Lyra steady, even as adrenaline surged through her body. She moved with confidence, understanding that human ingenuity was not just in technology, but in strategy, leadership, and calm decision-making under pressure. Once the intruders were outside, station security arrived. They quickly apprehended the group, leaving the cafe and its patrons unharmed. Lyra exhaled deeply, a mix of relief and exhilaration washing over her. She realized that today she had not just survived, she had participated, trusted, and learned. Aaron checked the stabilizer one last time. "How are you feeling?" he asked. Lyra smiled, her silver eyes shining. "Better than ever. I think I can handle anything now." Aaron nodded. "That's the human way, adapt, act, protect, and you learned it fast." The cafe manager, Raxil, approached with a serious expression that softened into gratitude. "You both did remarkably well. Without your actions, the chaos could have caused injuries, but you controlled it, calmly, efficiently. Humans truly are exceptional." Aaron shrugged modestly. "We just do what we must, that's all." Lyra looked at him, admiration clear in her eyes. I think humans are extraordinary, not just for strength or cleverness, but for courage and thought. You inspire trust, and that matters more than you realize." Aaron smiled faintly. "That's humanity. We step up when others hesitate. We think, we act, and we protect. Today was just another example." As the cafe settled back into its normal rhythm, Lyra continued her work, moving confidently and efficiently. The stabilizer hummed softly, a constant reassurance of human ingenuity and support. Patrons watched with curiosity and respect, some whispering about the remarkable human who had guided the fainting waitress through danger. Later, as the crowd thinned, Aaron and Lyra found a quiet corner to sit. She looked at him thoughtfully. "I never imagined humans could be so capable, not just in solving problems, but in handling crises with calm and precision. You make a difference." Aaron leaned back, his eyes scanning the bustling station outside. "That's what we do. Humans adapt, we innovate, and we protect. We don't always get recognized, but that doesn't matter. What matters is doing what's right." Lyra nodded slowly, absorbing his words. "I understand now. I will never forget this. Not just the stabilizer, not just the guidance, but the courage and clarity you showed. It changed how I see humans." Aaron smiled, feeling a quiet pride. He had traveled across countless stars, faced dangers alone, and relied on his wits and instincts. But here, on a crowded station filled with aliens, he had proven that humans could shine not through force alone, but through courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to act for others. Lyra extended her hand. "Thank you, Aaron Hale, for everything today." Aaron shook it firmly. "You did well too, remember that. Humans help, but we also recognize courage when we see it. You're stronger than you think." As night fell over Nebula Station, the cafe lights reflected across the metal floors. The events of the day had shown something important. Humans were remarkable not because they were the strongest or fastest, but because they could adapt, inspire, and protect. Aaron had demonstrated it, Lyra had experienced it, and the other patrons had witnessed it. Lyra moved through the cafe one last time before her shift ended, her confidence shining. She was no longer the fainting alien waitress, but a resilient, capable worker who had survived and contributed to handling a crisis. And Aaron, watching her, realized that human qualities, ingenuity, courage, empathy, were a force in their own right, capable of changing perceptions and saving lives. The two of them walked toward the station's observation deck, the stars glittering beyond the windows. "Do you think humans are really that remarkable?" Lyra asked softly. Aaron looked out at the galaxy, the countless stars stretching into infinity. "We are when it matters," he said simply, "and today it mattered, you saw it, and so did everyone else." "That's the human way, step up, act, and make a difference." Lyra smiled, understanding fully. "Then I will remember today, and I will trust humans more than ever." Aaron nodded. "Good, that's all I ask. Together we can face anything." As the station lights dimmed for the night and the hum of Nebula Station continued, one thing was clear. Humans were capable of more than strength or weapons. They were thinkers, doers, protectors. And with courage, ingenuity, and empathy, even one human could leave a lasting impact on a galaxy full of possibilities. The morning light spilled over Nebula Station, reflecting off the metal walls and the glass of the observation decks. Captain Aaron Hale had returned once again to the cafe, not out of duty, but because he had a feeling today would be different. Lyra Teven was already on her feet, moving confidently through the busy tables, the stabilizer on her wrist humming softly. The crowd had grown larger, travelers from distant worlds filling the cafe with energy and chatter. Lyra glanced at Aaron as she passed, a small smile on her face. "I feel ready," she said. "I think I can handle anything today." Aaron nodded, pleased. "Good. Confidence makes a difference. Remember, stay calm, watch your surroundings, and trust the device and yourself." The cafe filled quickly, more than either of them had expected. The regular patrons were present, along with several new faces. Aaron noticed the curious glances being thrown his way by aliens who had heard of his actions the previous days. Humans had a reputation, but the ones who had witnessed him in action now seemed genuinely impressed. There was a quiet respect in the way they watched him move through the room, guiding Lyra when needed, intervening only when necessary. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. Lyra moved through the cafe with grace and efficiency, delivering orders and taking requests with a calmness that had been impossible for her before. Aaron observed, adjusting minor settings on the stabilizer when necessary. The bracelet responded perfectly, keeping her balance and ensuring her heart rate remained stable despite the busy, chaotic environment. Just as Aaron was beginning to relax, a commotion erupted at the far end of the cafe. A group of alien traders had arrived, arguing loudly over a business deal gone wrong. Voices rose, objects were knocked over, and a few patrons jumped back in fear. Aaron's instincts immediately kicked in. He moved toward Lyra, guiding her behind a sturdy counter while scanning the room for potential hazards. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Focus on your work and don't panic." Lyra nodded, her eyes bright with determination. The stabilizer responded instantly as she adjusted her movements to navigate around the chaos. She moved with a confidence that only a few days ago would have been impossible. Her silver eyes darted between tables, serving drinks, clearing spills, and guiding patrons to safety. The traders' argument escalated, drawing the attention of more cafe-goers. One of them grabbed a tray and flung it across the room, narrowly missing a table of small, delicate aliens. Aaron reacted instantly, intercepting the tray and using it to create a barrier. He positioned himself between the chaos and Lyra, shielding her while simultaneously directing other patrons to safety. "Follow my lead," he said calmly. Lyra moved as instructed, her stabilizer ensuring she remained upright even as she rushed through the chaos. Aaron's mind worked quickly, calculating angles, distances, and trajectories. He was not just protecting Lyra, he was controlling the environment, turning obstacles into tools, and ensuring no one was hurt. Every movement was deliberate, every decision precise. The argument reached its peak when one of the traders attempted to strike a patron. Aaron reacted without hesitation, placing himself between the attacker and the innocent alien. He grabbed a nearby tray and blocked the swing, then used his weight and leverage to guide the aggressor toward the door. The attackers, frustrated and surprised by the human's speed and ingenuity, eventually retreated. The cafe was quiet for a moment, everyone catching their breath. Lyra stood beside Aaron, her silver eyes shining with admiration and relief. You saved everyone," she whispered. Aaron shook his head. "We saved everyone. You stayed calm, followed instructions, and helped where it mattered. That matters more than you realize." Lyra smiled faintly, a warmth spreading through her chest. She had always feared her condition, believing it made her weak. But today, with Aaron's guidance and the stabilizer on her wrist, she had contributed, helped others, and survived a dangerous situation. She realized that strength was not just physical. It was courage, quick thinking, and the willingness to act when needed. The cafe manager, Raxil, approached them, his four arms folded. His expression was serious, but there was a hint of pride. "You both did remarkably well," he said. "The way you handled the situation prevented injuries and chaos. The other staff have spoken highly of your composure and guidance." Aaron shrugged modestly. "We just did what was needed, that's all." Raxil nodded, then turned to Lyra. "You have grown stronger in just a few days. Your confidence and skill today, it is impressive. The stabilizer helps, but so does your focus. Humans and your determination together make a powerful combination." Lyra's silver eyes met Aaron's. "I see that now," she said softly. "Humans are remarkable. You think, you act, and you protect. I understand why others trust you." Aaron smiled, feeling a quiet pride. "That's humanity. We step up when others hesitate. We don't always get recognition, but that doesn't matter. What matters is doing what's right." As the cafe returned to normal, the patrons resumed their meals, and the staff cleaned up the mess. Lyra moved with confidence, serving orders efficiently and smiling at patrons who looked impressed by her composure. The stabilizer hummed softly, a symbol of human ingenuity and determination. By mid-afternoon, Aaron and Lyra found a moment of quiet near the observation deck, looking out at the vastness of space. Ships glided past the station, glinting in the light of nearby stars, and the hum of Nebula Station was a constant reminder of the galaxy's immensity. "You know," Lyra said, her voice thoughtful, "I never imagined humans could be so capable. Not just in building devices, but in handling crises, protecting others, and thinking clearly under pressure. You make a difference." Aaron nodded. "That's what humans do. We see a problem and we act. We protect, we create, and we adapt. That's how we survive and help others survive. Today was just another example." Lyra smiled, her silver eyes reflecting the stars outside. "I feel stronger because of it. I know now that I can face challenges I never thought I could. And I know that humans can inspire trust, hope, and courage." Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder, a gesture of reassurance. "That's right. You've learned quickly, and together we can handle anything the station or the galaxy throws at us." As night fell, the station lights shimmered across the metal floors, reflecting in the glass windows and casting long shadows. The cafe had become a quiet symbol of resilience, teamwork, and ingenuity. Humans and aliens alike had witnessed the power of courage, intelligence, and cooperation. Lyra returned to her duties one last time before ending her shift. She moved confidently, interacting with patrons and staff, her silver eyes bright with understanding and pride. She had grown stronger, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. She had seen firsthand what humans were capable of, the ability to adapt, to think, and to act decisively when it mattered most. Aaron watched her from a corner, a faint smile on his face. He had traveled across countless star systems, faced dangers alone, and relied on his instincts and training. But here, on Nebula Station, he had demonstrated something greater. Humans were remarkable not because of strength alone, but because of courage, empathy, ingenuity, and the ability to inspire others. As Lyra finished her shift, Aaron walked with her to the station's observation deck. They stood side by side, looking out at the galaxy stretching endlessly before them. The stars shimmered, each one a reminder of possibilities, adventures, and challenges yet to come. "I will never forget this," Lyra said softly. "Not just the stabilizer, not just your guidance, but the courage, intelligence, and calm you showed. You've changed how I see humans." Aaron smiled. "And you've learned something important, too. Strength isn't just physical, it's courage, quick thinking, and the willingness to act." "You showed that today?" Lyra nodded, understanding fully. "Then I will remember, and I will trust humans more than ever. You've proven that even one human can make a difference." Aaron placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "That's right. And together, humans and aliens can accomplish more than either could alone. We just need to trust, adapt, and act when it matters." The night deepened, and Nebula Station continued its constant rhythm of movement and life. Ships docked and departed, travelers hurried to their destinations, and the hum of machinery filled every corridor. In the midst of it all, one human and one alien had shown what courage, ingenuity, and trust could accomplish. Lyra looked at Aaron, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. "Do you think humans really are that remarkable?" she asked softly. Aaron nodded, his gaze fixed on the infinite expanse of space. "We are when it matters. We step forward, think clearly, act decisively, and protect those who need help. That's humanity. And today it mattered. Tomorrow it will matter again. That's the human way." Lyra smiled faintly, feeling a sense of pride and hope. "Then I will remember today. I will trust humans, and I will face challenges with courage, knowing I am not alone." Aaron nodded, satisfied. "Good, that's all that matters. Together we can face anything, and humans will always find a way to make a difference." As they stood in silence, gazing at the stars, the galaxy seemed a little smaller, a little more connected. The events at the cafe had shown that humans were more than travelers. They were thinkers, protectors, and problem solvers. Humanity's qualities of courage, ingenuity, and empathy had left a mark, not just on Lyra, but on everyone who had witnessed their actions. And for Lyra, the fainting alien waitress who had once feared her condition, this was the beginning of a new chapter. She was stronger, confident, and ready to face the challenges of life on Nebula Station. And with Aaron by her side, she knew that together they could handle anything. The stars continued to shine, silent witnesses to the story of humans and aliens, courage and ingenuity, trust and friendship. And in that vast galaxy, one thing was certain. Humans, with their ability to think, act, and protect, could leave a lasting impact wherever they went.